And welcome to a special on-the-road edition of Archive Thrifting. As such, an opening box segment would be badly out of place here, so let's just dive right in. Our first stop is in Fairmont, Minnesota, population 10,000, at a little place called 12 Baskets. And there was another place across the street I wanted to hit as well, but they were closed on Mondays. Anyway, in the store, they were selling random media by the bundle, and the price was more than right at $4, but I didn't find $4 worth of anything in particular that I wanted to extract from those bundles. In the electronics, here's a Bell & Howell Language Master from the early 70s, used to help teach foreign languages. It runs on cards with a magnetic strip with a few seconds of audio on it, and these things have been covered by other YouTubers several times now. And alas, there were no cards for it to be had, and the price was more than right for it for $1, but yeah, not doing it. Otherwise, this is a Sears Whispermatic 4 slide projector, probably from the late 60s, and even though I have other means of saving slides, I don't own a projector. Now, there was no carousel for this one, but I believe this can accept any old carousel, so next time I see one a little closer to home, I'll have to snag it. And it was in excellent working condition, and they only wanted $1 for it, so I grabbed it. Some other minor electronics goodies. An ultra-basic Scientific Atlanta cable box. Had it had some kind of local markings on it, I might have grabbed it, but it was 100% generic. Otherwise, a decent Gemini VHS rewinder, but I'm at a point where I only want the ones that rewind and fast forward, and Big Mouth Billy Bass back there. I don't need a second one. In the records, it's a 3 LP set of knockoff country hits, and I'm starting to think that a country record ripoffs is inevitable here. I've got a ton of them. Otherwise, for the most part, it's what you'd expect in a small upper Midwestern town. A lot of country and easy listening, and somebody really dug Glenn Campbell. And a lot of compilations in there too, but these were all legit ones. Now, there was one section with some somewhat less middle-of-the-road stuff, but one album really stood out. Ivett's Red Now, Stevie Wonder spelled backwards. This is an all-instrumental album he did in 1968 to effectively show off his harmonica skills, and I don't think it sold too well. It was in great condition, and I snagged it. Otherwise, some jazz, some comedy, a loose Columbia Records demo disc, which is just a compilation. There's nothing unique to it. Otherwise, there was one barely noteworthy disc in there, and you'll see that in the haul segment. I remember seeing the last of these things as a kid. These are little diet books, and mostly very gimmicky ones. They used to put these at the checkout at the grocery store, next to the tabloids and candy and stuff. Sheet Music Magazine from 1983, even though it looks closer to 1963. And there was nothing I particularly wanted to learn in there. And the haul from this store consists of Country Western Roundup of Hits, and that one's going straight into the Record Ripoffs candidate pile. And speaking of record ripoffs, found off camera was the first TEJ Tin-Eared Junk compilation I've seen in some time now. I think Sergey will like it. Otherwise, the Ivett's Red Now Stevie Wonder album, and Brewer and Shipley down in LA, their first album from 1968. And of course, the Sears Whispermatic 4 slide projector. And on to the Goodwill in Mankato, Minnesota, and not Mankato as I erroneously stated once early in Archive's run. And by the way, these are presented in the order in which they were shot. This was shot around 6:30 p.m. the same day as that last segment. A very promising looking mystery tape in the VHS section, and it was just a copy of Shrek 2. But otherwise, a thoroughly mediocre looking VHS selection, almost entirely common mainstream stuff. Although there was one bit of unwanted nostalgia, Raffi in concert. And I was just the right age to take the brunt of Baby Beluga's inexplicable popularity. Otherwise, YouTube gets weird with me when I try and discuss some of this stuff. The Valentine's Day VHS vault I did a few years ago remains blocked. Catch that one on archive.org. But otherwise, a very folk-heavy CD selection. Among the selections was Keep On Doing from the Roaches, just about the weirdest folk act of all time, and produced by Robert Fripp of King Crimson, no less, and actually 3/4 of the then current Crimson lineup plays on this. I've had this album on cassette forever, but I've never transferred it, and I don't have to now. And yeah, it was in great shape. Dear younger archive viewers, please stop asking me to cover this album. Yeah, Mitch Miller was a strange looking dude, and he was also head of Columbia Records, and he pumped out some of the most mediocre schlock of the 50s and 60s. Episodes of his TV show from that time period are good for a laugh, though.
Please, don't just sit there. Come on and sing.
5 foot 2, eyes of blue. But oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal?
Found a little CanCon in the cassettes. Madeline. Yeah, I've never heard of her either. Looks like something Classical Gas Emissions would cover, and it is from his neck of the woods, actually. Yeah, something tells me this is going to find its way onto a random cassettes episode eventually. Fairly early cassette issue back there from Bobby Vinton. Not really a fan, and that case looks like it's been through the post office's ringer a few times. Crappy late 80s Neil Diamond, and Mickey Gilley looks uncharacteristically sharp there. Otherwise, I'm hoping this is a worthy successor to the Jerry Sleeger album I found last year, doing that wonky one-man band thing, and he's from Hutchinson, Minnesota, which I had to drive through to get home. And yeah, beneath that is the same Williams and Rhee album that I picked up a while back. Well, this reminds me of the electronics sections back home. Low-end DVD players, and stray keyboards and crap. One of those borderline biohazard knickknacks from the Sharper Image. And for the cherry on top of the crap sundae, one of those cheapy virtual reality headsets. That fills my bingo card. Otherwise, some cheap USB-C cables and stuff that you can get cheaper online, and cheap Bluetooth gaming headsets. Yeah, more cheaps than a screening of The Room. And winning the stupid invention sweepstakes is a USB-powered humidifier. Make your computer moldy today. And yes, kids, you too can send your voice over the interwebs. And the haul from this store consists of 3 random cassette candidates, something called Fifth Avenue, based out of Minneapolis, and some interesting looking cover choices there, assuming they're not originals with unfortunate titles. Otherwise, we've got one from Lyndon Peterson, the one-man band. Can it live up to Jerry Sleeger? And beneath that, we've got the Madeline cassette. We'll see if it's the best in country or not. And lastly, a CD of the Roaches, Keep On Doing. Our last 2 stores are in St. Cloud, still Minnesota. Now, this one fooled me. I thought this was a standalone donation center at first. Turns out it's the proper store, just badly marked. In the VHS section, we've got a copy of a movie that no one would ever care about had it not been scored by Jimmy Buffett. Rancho Deluxe, adapted from the Tom McGuane story. I know I've seen this movie at some point, but damned if I remember what it's about. And given the time period, maybe that was the point. Anyway, here's a concept, a stand-up comedy video for deaf people from one Mary Beth Miller. Now, the back claims that there are voiceovers when available, and I sure hope they're there because I don't know a lick of sign language, but yeah, it looked way too weird to pass up. Now, I've seen this Sammy Hagar album, Standing Hampton, on CD at thrift stores several times now, and every time it's been trashed, and this time is no different. Yeah, those patterns aren't a reflection. Someone tried to grind out the scratches on one of those gamers' scratch remover doohickeys and just created new ones. I mean, I would take this one if I could find it in good shape. Oh, sure, just after I grabbed another cassette caddy in the last thrifting video. But beneath that is a sealed 2-pack of blank mini DV tapes, and I was completely out of those, so yeah, I snagged them. You know, I'm starting to think Minnesota's got the world's supply of low-profile slide projectors. Yeah, sorry, savers, already got one, and at a 15th of the price. Oh, good lord, another black box pseudo-telecine thing. The only noteworthy thing about this one is that they stole Marty McFly's camcorder for the box shot. Another cheapy USB turntable to transfer your LPs to MP3s. So from crap to crap to crap. Anyway, it's pretty rare that I see desktop computers at the thrift store anymore. This is a Hewlett-Packard dating to the Windows XP era, and any more period computer stuff I get, I think is going to be of the laptop variety. Now, the price would have been fine if it weren't for the fact that this sucker has been totally gutted. And the haul from this store consists of a knockoff 45 of Dale & Grace's 1962 hit, I'm Leaving It Up to You, and I didn't realize the disc was broken until after I bought it. I thought it was a scratch, and I would have loved to have heard how they mangled that one too. Otherwise, we've got the Mary Beth Miller stand-up video and a couple of blank mini DV tapes. And on to the last and least of today's stores. Geez, all the Goodwills look alike out here. In the CDs, I found a couple of oldies compilations from Original Sound Entertainment. Now, these are a genuine crapshoot. I've owned a handful, and they range from some of the best sounding oldies CDs I've heard to abysmal needle drops. Both of these were in near perfect condition. They've got a few tunes apiece that I didn't already have. They were $1 a piece, so I took the gamble. Otherwise, 3 stray cassettes. And that Boots Randolph tape better have Yakety Sax, the Benny Hill song, or it's no good. And good, it's there. It's the first cut, where it should be. Anyway, back in the CDs, the Goodwill is a good indicator of where your career is at. And let's just say that the Cinderella story that was Susan Boyle's career has turned back into a pumpkin at this point. And of course, Streisand has been a staple of the thrift store bin longer than I've been alive. One of those kiddie fake laptop deals. Wake me when a real one turns up. Otherwise, we've got a first act amplifier, and I'm waiting for some YouTuber to put together a band that does everything with first act gear, and it's not gonna be me. Otherwise, yeah, this electronics section is indistinguishable from the ones back home. And the small haul from this store consists of those 2 original sound compilations that I discussed earlier. Well, I managed to get home in one piece. Anyway, the haul from this episode consists of, technically, 8 records. the triple knockoff country set, and I think this year's record ripoffs is gonna be country. I've just got a huge backlog of these. We've got the double tin-eared junk set, Can't Stop Dancing, from 1977. We've got the Stevie Wonder Ivett's Red Now album, and we've got Brewer and Shipley's first album, Down in L.A., from 1968. And no, One Toke Over the Line is not on there. And we've got a very much broken Hit Records 45. Can't believe I bought that. Otherwise, we've got 3 CDs, 2 oldies compilations from Original Sound, and a replacement for my old cassette of the Roaches' Keep On Doing. We've got the Mary Beth Miller stand-up comedy for the deaf video. We've got 3 audio cassettes from Madeline, Fifth Avenue, and Lyndon Peterson. And I think we're going to end this video on an excerpt from that last one. Then we've got a 2-pack of blank mini DV tapes. And lastly, the Sears Whispermatic 4 slide projector. Just need to find a carousel for it. And the haul from this episode came out to about $18. And that's it for this installment of Archive Thrifting. I'll talk to you again soon.
And he stops by the old candy store, and I somehow believe he's believing. He's holding her hand like before. Then the old man walks up to the hilltop and gives her a daisy a day. I'll give you a daisy a day, dear. I'll give you a daisy a day.
I know, I'm sweating. Don't worry, I need to lose weight. It could be a new weight loss method. This is better than a sauna. I know, I'm sweating quite a bit.